was no dominating superstar on the World Championship basketball team. The Seattle Supersonics didn't need one. They took the championship by playing together. They were the best team. What counts on a team is not the names on a roster, but how well those names play together, how well they know each other. That is the beauty of basketball. And it works in other places. This is the Philadelphia String Quartet of Seattle. The four men in this musical team began their lives in different places, but they were drawn together by the same passion, the desire to play chamber music, to break out of the orchestra, to escape the power of the conductor.
You're using your technical skill to fulfill the musical imagination of the individual, the conductor. Now that rankles for most of us. And you begin thinking, well, wait a minute, there's got to be a way that I can be in music and express myself. Otherwise, it's just a job. It's a beautiful job, but still the same, just a job.
Inside the orchestra, the conductor makes the musical rules. But in the quartet, there is no conductor. The rules come out of dialogue, argument, and compromise.
What have you done except the last place?
Well, yeah, I'm in piano.
You have sforzando and tan.
Yes.
Well, we translated that as being forte again.
So I should just put it back in.
We put it back in, Alan. Last time.
Forte?
You see there.
Yeah.
Just for the melody itself.
Okay.
There's a lot of giving in because each one of us is going to hear a passage a certain way, as you probably noticed during the rehearsal. Sometimes, if it turns out to be 3 against 1, you just lose that round anyway.
This goes on every day, 6 hours a day, in the final weeks before a quartet performance. What looks effortless on concert night comes out of this work. On the stage, in front of the crowd, there'll be no stopping and starting, no timeouts. There, the communication will be more subtle. Much like the basketball team, these players know each other from hours of practice and dialogue. They watch eye contact and body motion.
Then, of course, there is the type of contact which nobody can detect, and that is simply by the ear, by listening. And even subtler than that is just a sense of the motion of the music. And of course, these are things that you're telegraphing by the way you're playing, and the others are picking up without the audience really knowing that anything's going on.
It happens in small ways.
Yeah, it's just
at every performance. You know, the slightest movement of someone's body during a performance. And often what happens the day after a concert is we'll come into the studio and someone will say, didn't you realize I wanted to take more time there and you weren't watching me and you came crashing in on that next bar? And, well, we didn't rehearse it that way. You weren't going to take time there, but that's the way I felt, you know, and then this is the kind of argument we have.
The musical team has no opponent, only an encounter with the composer. In this case, probably the giant in quartet music, Beethoven. The quartet players have a special reverence for this music. Some of them identify Beethoven's musical struggles, his attempts to break the old rules, with their own struggle to break out of the orchestra, to stand on their own. None thinks he will ever do full justice to Beethoven's music, but to try, that is the great challenge.
You're not really witnessing 4 egos struggling to assert themselves, but you're witnessing a joint struggle to try to refine to the smallest detail what we think Beethoven had in his mind, to be as pure as possible.
And you might change your minds about that next year.
Absolutely. We will.
There is a moment of truth in all performance, the time to leave the practice court. Nervous time, the athletes call it. For a performer, it is the worst kind of waiting. Stanley Ritchie stays by himself in a back room, away from the others. He cannot eat on performance day. The others loosen up by talking, fingering their instruments. Erwin Eisenberg paces around, playing little bits of violin concertos.
Remember playing this in New York? Electric? Remember the electric?
In a sense, the lives of these men have all built to this moment. They have paid their dues through practice and performance over many years. But they still go through in these final moments a kind of self-hypnosis to convince themselves that they are about to deliver something very special. It is a supreme moment for Eisenberg, who says his whole life has changed in the quartet. I am playing the greatest music by the greatest composer. What else could I ask for? The Philadelphia String Quartet will never sell out the Kingdome and never bring the city a world championship. But in a quiet and packed theater, in its own realm, the work of these men is no less exciting.